Something else I want to mention is this wasn't your first time calling a New Japan or even a Tokyo Dome show. You were a part of those 91 and 92 shows where
Right.
WCW was involved and taped those. Were you attending those and doing that live, or is that something you did a voiceover for after the fact?
We were there on site. Shivani and I were there on site, and we were there 2 or 3 days before the event, and had a great time. We were. It was back in the old days where the alleged yakuza guys were acted as your host. It was very unique. And they had a party for us. They had a party for us in some club that they had basically rented or taken over. It was loaded with women and hangers on. What do you call those? Doppelgangers? Something like that. They had all their contacts were there, their business contacts. And I remember being taken back to my hotel uh, in a Rolls Royce convertible.
There you go.
Yeah. And they wanted to put the top down. It was cold too. So, I'm not going to say shit with a mouthful, a deal like that, man. It's like, I don't want to offend anybody and
Yeah.
lose my thumbs or something. Uh, so, but yeah, they treated us great. I mean, it's like felt like we were being recruited,
Right.
and let's build a relationship. We're going to make sure you guys have some fun. Uh, the So when you go out to eat, it was phenomenal. It was just, I don't know how they found these places. And then maybe it's been regular stops, but boy, it was just amazing. So they made a very positive, lasting impression. Did they, meaning the New Japan office, and taking care of us. It was really cool. And Shivani and I did some work from the arena, and then I think we voiced over the show back in Atlanta, just so they could handle the levels and the audio and all this other stuff.
Right.
So Tony and I did that in post, and again, not a big issue. When you worked for WCW back in those days, we did so many things with post and keep with Keith Mitchell's crew down in the production facility there at the CNN Center. So post was nothing to me, nothing to Tony. We'd done them. You just go do it. Somehow or another, you put yourself in that mind frame and give it your best shot.
Well, we know that this is going to be a big moment in your career. You know, you've been on the sidelines of professional wrestling through the rest of 2013 and all of 2014. So, come early 2015, when you finally aren't calling boxing or MMA, but you're calling professional wrestling again, it's for a brand new product
Yep.
and in a foreign land. And you wrote this in your blog. It will be our job to explain the talent's backgrounds, the storylines, etc., while not ignoring holds, strategy, the transitions, and the basics of presenting each match as if it were a legit sporting event without insulting the audience. So I really like that breakdown of what your role is. But I guess the bigger question I had was, how were you preparing? Were you getting tapes and footage to sort of learn, all the players and the storylines and all that ahead of time? I mean, you told us when you sat down at the table that the format and the production notes and all that were in Japanese, but as far as just familiarizing yourself with the
Right.
product, did you do some, were you able to get some homework done before you took the flight over?
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much information online, and I think that was when I was going through my little iPad first stint with using an iPad. So yeah, I looked at all over that I could, and I talked to people that had an infinitely more knowledge of the Japan product than I. I'd always been a fan of their work, and I got to know some of the guys back in the early days, in the '70s and the '80s. So I had a, I had, I had, I had, I had to prepare. I mean, I was going to prepare. Our friend Dave Meltzer helped me some, to be honest with you, because he's such a uh, proponent of that genre and that product. He knew more about it than anybody that I knew at that point in time. And then other guys jumped on and would have phone conversations or whatever. So yeah, it was. You got to prepare, especially in a situation where there's all for this audience in America. It's going to be the first time many of them have seen Okada or Naito or any of these cats, you know. And again, the rock star of the show to me was Shinsuke Nakamura. Shinsuke. Uh, he reminded me of a wrestling version of Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, I remember you saying that in the hype videos.
Yeah, he just exuded charisma and confidence. And of course, Okada a little bit younger then. There's that shot there. You got to check us out, folks, on YouTube. It's a lot more fun to watch on YouTube, I think. But Nakamura mesmerized the crowd. You could tell that the passing of the torch was coming regarding those two men we just saw on the screen, Nakamura and Okada. You could tell the change of guard was in process. But boy, I never felt a crowd that big that I thought that one guy had the whole crowd in the palm of his hand. And I had it that night with Nakamura. And I remember telling the guys at WWE back in that era, I said, man, if you ever get a chance to get this dude, he's perfect for WWE. He's got charisma. He's got a lot of sizzle. He's a tough guy. His kicks are toxic. You know, he's a hell of a psychologist. So it was fun as hell. Cause that came at the end of the night, so to speak, the Okada and the Nakamura inclusion in the card, their matches are toward the end, obviously, main event level stuff. And I was in awe. I hadn't been around a talent in a long, long time that just captivated the imagination of that many people in one sitting. It was awe-inspiring.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson here to tell you a little more about what adfreeshows.com is all about. Get early, ad-free access to more than a dozen of your favorite wrestling podcasts every single week, starting at just $9. That's less than 20 cents an episode each month. And yes, you can listen to them all directly through Apple Podcasts or your regular podcast apps. How easy is that? Ad-free shows also has thousands of hours worth of bonus content and docuseries like Title Chase, Eric Fires Back, Conversations with Conrad, and The Insiders. Plus new series like The Book with David Crockett, Monday Mailbags with Mike Chioda and Nick Patrick, and a whole lot more. And you want to talk about early? You can't get any earlier than listening to the shows live. You can be a part of the live studio audience as we record the podcast. Plus, ride shotgun alongside your favorite childhood heroes for live watch-alongs, Q&As, and other interactive experiences every single month. Come on now, see for yourself what thousands of other wrestling fans from around the world have discovered, that adfreeshows.com is the best value in wrestling. Check it out today, and hey, when you do, the first week is completely free. adfreeshows.com.